Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we are diving into something fascinating and, honestly, a little terrifying. We're cracking open the ultimate toxic warlord playbook of a guy named Ali Pasha Tepelina. We're skipping the dry history lesson today. We're just looking at his brutal, real-world strategies for grabbing power. Plain and simple. Let's get into it.
Okay, let's dive right into this. I want you to think about your typical workplace for a second. What would you actually do if a coworker tried to steal your job? In a polite, normal office, you'd probably talk to HR, quietly document their behavior, or maybe just work harder to prove your worth. But today, we're looking at 19th century tactics that make the absolute worst modern office politics look like a complete walk in the park. To really understand these methods, you have to meet the man himself, Ali Pasha Tepelina. Now, he was a completely ruthless 19th century strongman operating inside the massive Ottoman Empire. He wasn't some philosopher sitting around writing academic theories on leadership, right? He was basically a mob boss-style leader who carved out his own semi-independent state through pure manipulation, strategic genius, and just overwhelming force. And when you look closely at his history, his entire operating system basically boils down to 5 key rules.
Starting with rule number 1, crush the weak first.
Think about a modern manager stepping into a messy, chaotic new department. Normally, they want to build consensus, get everyone on the same page, that kind of thing. Ali Pasha? Yeah, he did the exact opposite. His literal business process for consolidating power in a super fragmented region was a brutal 3-step program. Step 1, identify the absolute weakest rival on the board. Step 2, crush them, and I mean crush them ruthlessly to make a very loud public example. Step 3, just absorb all their lands, wealth, and forces. He treated dominating a region like a hostile corporate merger.
The core philosophy driving that first rule is perfectly captured by this mindset. Trust no one, but make everyone fear you. Look, he didn't care a bit about team building or cultivating a nice shared culture. He relied entirely on making such a horrifying example out of his weakest rivals that everyone else was simply too terrified to cross him. Fear wasn't just a byproduct of how he managed things, it was the whole foundation.
Which brings us to rule number 2. Squeeze the money. So once you have power, you gotta pay for it, right? Ali Pasha had massive ambitions. He wanted a high-tech, modern European military and, well, that is not cheap. The contrast in economic theory here is staggering. Modern finance is all about sustainable taxes, international loans, building broad-based growth. The boring, transparent, HR-friendly way, basically. The Pasha way? Direct exploitation. He would just straight up expropriate land from anyone who seemed even slightly disloyal, heavily tax trade routes, and literally squeeze every single cent he could out of his subjects.
He wasn't exactly into free markets either. He established absolute state monopolies on the most valuable local goods. We're talking olive oil, wool, timber. Now sure, he did actually build some great infrastructure, like roads and bridges. Which sounds great, right? Sounds like a public good. Actually, scratch that. He only built them so he could control the trade routes, completely monopolize those local exports, and make sure that every bit of that extracted cash went straight into his own personal pockets.
Now, what's really interesting about this next slide is how he dealt with his own people. Rule 3, the paranoid boss.
Let me ask you this. How do you handle a popular, rising star employee? Seriously, imagine you have a highly capable general who's out there winning battles, getting stuff done, and getting way too popular with the local troops. In a normal organization, you'd be thrilled. You want rock stars on your team.
But look at the extreme contrast here. The normal, modern boss mentors them, gives them a clear career path, maybe a nice promotion. The Pasha way? Intense spying and sudden, mysterious disappearances. To Ali Pasha, a highly capable subordinate wasn't an asset at all. They were a direct existential threat to his centralized control. Useful men become ambitious men, and ambition was dangerous. He actually developed this incredibly clinical, deeply paranoid process for dealing with these rising stars. Step 1, praise them publicly. Give them gold so they feel safe and comfortable. Step 2, aggressively spy on them. Cultivate informants in their own ranks. Isolate their loyalists. And step 3, if they start getting too big, eliminate the threat. Maybe they catch a mysterious illness or get sent on a mission they definitely aren't coming back from. For this guy, absolute personal loyalty was literally the only performance metric that mattered.
Okay, rule 4, PR by terror. So the crucial point is that when it came to his external image, Ali Pasha never ever wanted to be loved as a benevolent leader. He deliberately and carefully cultivated a totally horrifying reputation. He truly lived by the idea that fear is the ultimate currency of respect. He wanted stories of his ruthlessness to get there before he did, so people would just give up without even trying to fight him.
But his strategy wasn't just mindless brute violence. It was a highly calculated mix. Sure, the biggest piece of the pie was extreme cruelty and swift vengeance, but he mixed that with random, unpredictable acts of generosity and a really heavy dose of cultivated cunning. It's like by being totally volatile, showering you with gifts on Tuesday and showing brutal vengeance on Wednesday, he kept everyone completely off balance. Nobody ever knew where they stood, and that meant he held all the power.
And finally, Rule 5, fake friends only.
This covers his utterly cynical approach to foreign alliances and diplomacy. For Ali Pasha, alliances were just temporary conveniences. They were never eternal bonds based on shared values. He masterfully played giant, powerful empires against each other, the Ottomans, the British, the French, the Russians. He'd secretly send envoys to one, promising loyalty, while keeping secret back channels wide open with their biggest rivals. He treated all international relations as pure transactional leverage.
And this brilliantly illustrates his mindset. Treaties meant absolutely nothing to him. The second a better deal came along, he'd shift allegiances instantly. But honestly, the wildest part? He wouldn't even trust his own family. He literally forced his own sons to constantly compete and fight among themselves for his favor. Why? Just so no single one of them could ever consolidate enough power to usurp him while he was still alive. Zero stable succession planning, just total paranoia.
Let's move to and see how this builds. Here is the complete 5-step toxic warlord playbook. 1. Crush the weak first to instill immediate fear. 2. Squeeze the money directly to fund your ambitions. 3. Eliminate rising stars before they can ever become rivals. 4. Rule by terror to keep everybody off balance. And 5. Fake friends only. Trust no one and treat everyone as a temporary transaction. It's brilliant, it's ruthless, and it's entirely self-serving.
Which leaves us with this final provocative thought to wrap up our explainer today. Could a boss like Ali Pasha survive today? I mean, obviously you can't go around literally eliminating your coworkers, but if you strip away the 19th century violence and look just at the psychology, the extreme self-interest, the transactional networking, the crushing of weak rivals, the paranoia about rising stars, how much of this Machiavellian playbook is still quietly operating in the modern world? Keep your eyes open. You might just spot it. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive.